Just arrived at the post today, the new Hope Pro 5 hubs, and we've already taken them apart, and I want to show you what's inside, essentially, because not a lot has changed, but enough has changed to make it exciting. So first of all, this is the new shape of the shell. I have to say it's a slightly bigger flange, and there's definitely some more machining going on here. It looks like it spent a little bit more time in the CNC machine, been a bit nicer finished. And there is some confusing markings on here. So on here you can see it says 135 center lock. These are for 142 millimeters. So you've got to be careful with how some of these markings match up. And you've got 108 maximum points of engagement, 6 Pawls. So there's a couple of weirdness going on there, but it's the same lovely deep red Hope anodizing that we're used to. So hub shell, all good. What else stays the same is that Hope are still using those 17-28-7 bearings. This has always struck me as a slightly unusual thing for Hope to do, because this is a standard 6000 series bearing, a 6803 I think it is, and they're so remarkably similar. I've always wondered why Hope stick to this fairly unusual size when there's the ISO size is so similar. But anyway, we're still sticking with the 17287. They've been around long enough that there's lots of aftermarket brands making some really good quality 17287 bearings, but you know, these are fantastic. The axle through the middle is still aluminium, as we'd expect from Hope. Now, one of the criticisms of the Pro 4s and even the Pro 2s is that the axles were a little bit soft, and when things start to corrode and get a bit wobbly, you can really make some damage to these axles, and they can snap. It looks like they beefed them up a little bit. There's a bit more material in the key places, which is nice to see. So that's all pretty interesting. But they have kept this little annoying thing. This is the steel washer that sits in between the bearing on the drive side and the Freehub I'll show you in a second. The reason this is a bit of an issue on Hope hubs is because you've got a steel washer that sits about here, and when your bearings start to wear out and you induce a little bit of wobble, this starts to eat. And I've seen a number of Hope hubs where this steel ring has eaten into this hub, into this axle, until it's literally just come apart in the bike. Not cool. So it's a bit of a shame they stuck with that design. Other brands sort of do a bit more machining on their axle to sort of counter that problem. So anyway, by the by, it's been like that for a long time. Then we have the new Freehub. So this is new 6 Pawls, and those Pawls are held in with a little retaining thing. So unlike the old ones that just were loose to just fall out as soon as you took the Freehub out, this one has actually got a little retaining ring. Hope still using their classic blue grease, and if I pull one of these Pawls out, you can see that they've drastically changed the design of their Pawl springs. The Pawls actually look pretty much exactly the same, and I do wonder whether these will be cross compatible with the 4s. But what has changed is the little Pawl springs. This is a significantly different design. It used to just be like a little leaf. This has now actually had some significant work on it actually. So it's now got the little spring here and almost like a little clip. Now, one of the criticisms with Hope, because these are so wafer thin, and these are still incredibly thin, is that they used to rust. Well, they do rust really easily. It's always a bit of a shame actually, because you've got this, you know, lovely durable Hope hub, and actually a bit of water gets in there, and these actually rust quite quickly. Now, over the years, we've come up with lots of hacks and bodges of dealing with this, including using little zip ties in place of these, and it all works. And I think that hack is still going to work as well, which is pretty nice. But so to pop this back in, first you put the Pawl spring back in to the Freehub, and then the Pawl goes into the spring like that, and then the little circlip goes over the whole top. I have to say, I do like this design, because one of the great things about the Hope hub was you could almost service them trail side, as long as you were careful and the Pawls didn't go everywhere and you pulled them out. So That's all pretty nice. The other thing you'll notice that's different is there's a little rubber O-ring just here. If I just pull that off, and this is to do with the little labyrinth seal, which I'll show you in a second. Other than that, the bearings in here, exactly what we'd expect. These are actually 15 287s in here because, and a 17 287 here because the axle actually tapers. So 17 millimeters here, 15 millimeters here, which is why we've got two different size bearings in here. After that, we've got this new green seal. So if you're used to seeing Hope hubs, this used to be just pretty much a basic piece of green plastic that makes up the weather sealing. This has now had some sort of, not machining, it's now got some shape to it. But this sits inside the groove here, and then on top of that, we now have, this is the new piece of the Pro 5. So weirdly, again, with marking, this says HG XDR Freehub. So obviously this little plate here is compatible with the XDR. XDR is the XD driver for road. I'm not 100% sure if that's also compatible with the XD driver for mountain bike. I'd imagine that it is. It just means that it's probably a different one for Microspline from Shimano. And that's going to go over, and it slots quite nicely with that little rubber O-ring. And then of course we have our classic end caps with the silver one always going on the drive side. Popping this back together then is actually a pretty straightforward job. You essentially reconstruct it in here, and you're going to need an over axle kit as well. So there's still plenty of residual grease on this, so don't worry about me adding grease. The first job is to get the bearings back into the hub. First axle over kit. This is the Wheels Manufacturing, probably one of the best bearing presses on the market. Hope do actually make their own tool for this as well, but go, and we literally just screw that home. Actually go in, absolute dream. Let's back that out. There we go. So without those parts in, that actually spins really nice, super smooth. You don't really need any sort of preload washers and wave washers like you get on lots of other hubs. You know, that is just precision engineering working like it should. So after that, that steel washer goes on next. And then our Freehub, we can just glide those in. There's not a lot of grease in here, I have to say. Like, lots of mechanics put way too much grease, but if you want it to maintain that sound and that instant engagement, you really don't need a lot of grease in here. It's really just to stop those pulls making lots and lots of noise. This is the green ring, and that needs to be pushed in just like that. And then this is considerably easier than the old one, which you sort of had to either use the special tool to push in, and actually this comes out super easy as well. So you just need a very, very small screwdriver. Being very careful, it will just pry out. And just being very careful, it will just pry out. And just using your fingernails to lift it. So significantly easier to get into and place than the old ones. And then this little black cap just goes over the top and sort of snaps into place with that O-ring. And then of course the end caps. There we go. That is what the new Hope hub sounds like. It's got a slightly higher pitch to it. It almost sounds a little bit Chris King. But there we go. I have to say, I think that is a significant improvement on what has always been a very, very simple design. It's just one of those designs which just works because it's been engineered with some precision. And so long as you look after them, they do last a long time. Whenever people have had problems with Hopes in the past, it's because they've just worn them out too far, you know, those bearings have had a little bit of wobble, because water will get in there eventually. And then, you know, once you've got a little bit of wobble, that little steel ring is able to eat away at stuff. But the great thing about Hope is we've seen some that have been absolutely destroyed, and we've always been able to repair them. You know, that's pretty cool. A quick look at the front hub. It's got this sort of tapered design here. Again, it says 100mm center lock on here. So this is a really cool tool. This is called a Hub Doctor from Unior, and they're awesome for pulling off end caps. Look at that, so easy. Let's pull those hub caps off. And in here, again, yeah, more 17287 bearings. So on a set of these, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 17287 bearings and one 15287 bearing. And to remove this is going to be a case of moving this little section here out of the way and just using a drift, once that's out of the way, to just drift them out. So exactly the same as most Hope front hubs, nothing really to report there. So these end caps are slightly different. You see, one's got a flange on it. So the one with the flange is going to go where you can see it, which is on the drive side, you know, where the disc isn't. And on the disc side, there's going to be this one here. So you've got an open end there for you able to get the sort of the threads on. There we go. I don't think you could get anything so much better made and so simple. Now, I know what you really want to know is, are they going to last? And well, so did we. So we actually had a customer, a good friend of ours, Sally Ozanne, who is an epic bike packing rider, and she's off to go and do the Italian Divide, and she commissioned us to build a set of Hope Pro 4s onto her new gravel wheels to go and do the Italian Divide with. Just at that time, Hope announced these, and we reached out to Hope and said, got this project in mind. I think the new Hope Pro 5s would be an awesome idea. They agreed. We are not a Hope dealer, by the way, so we paid money for these. We're just, you know, lucky enough to be one of the first to get hold of them, so we could do this video and show you guys. But we are going to build this into a set of epic gravel wheels and send them away with Sally, and she's going to go and ride the Italian Divide and report back, because I can't think of a better way of testing the durability of the hubs in a short length of time, you know, it doesn't take years and years, than going to do something as epic as that. So keep watching this space, and we'll let you know how we get on in a few months' time. I think these are going to be absolutely fine. What do you think?